What's up, guys? Welcome to the Penthouse5 Podcast, episode number 14. This is the second episode this year, so we're trying to keep the momentum going. This episode is all about how to deal with people, other musicians in particular. If you're working in a band, you know, the best way to get the most out of the people you're working with, you know, how to get the best relationship with those people as well. And this isn't for like just music, it's like interacting with people in general. Some things I've learned, I'm no expert, but like these are just things I've learned so far. It's always a continual learning process in all the things we're trying to get better at. And, you know, especially working with people and dealing with people and how to interact with other people is like certainly a very important thing. We need to learn to appreciate and develop those skills. But anyway, if you're interested in music, as a musician trying to earn money in music, then this is the podcast for you. Myself, I'm John Kent. I run the Penthouse5 band, and also sometimes on these episodes, going to get my keys player, Dave O'Grady, on the show as well. And hopefully this year, I'm planning to hopefully do some interviews with other musicians that I respect and just reach out to and stuff, get their point of view on some things, and give you guys a bit more information and bit of value as well, hopefully, from these videos. That's the point of doing this. But yeah, anyway, this episode is on dealing with people, dealing with musicians. So from my perspective, it's things I've learned from running a band, and there's other people in this band who their priorities are not 100% on just the function band, the wedding band that I'm running, sort of thing. And I've seen it in other bands, chat to some people through like social media and stuff, Instagram messaging and stuff, and some people, they struggle to get their head around that other people have their own priorities. Singers, most of the singers I come in contact with, like, they really want to do original music, their own thing. So their priorities are completely different from mine, which is building the business of a successful wedding and events band and stuff, Other musicians have different goals, so you're always going to come into contact, whoever you work with, their goals and ambitions and what they want to do and what their priority list is. Right at the top is probably not the same as what you're doing. So you have to appreciate that and try and understand that and come from their point of view, I think one of the most difficult things from a band perspective, especially if you're running the band, one of the most difficult things is, when everyone else does have their own priorities, is managing a band, managing a group of people who their first priority, their first interest is not always going to be what your project is. And it's just understanding that, and it's just being able to put your mind in what the other person's priorities are, understanding that what's most important for you is not always going to be most important for them. And you have to be flexible with that and understand that and be like, okay, cool, that's, this is my priority. This is something I'm trying to focus on and build. The other people I'm working with, who I'm choosing to work with and choosing to have be a part of this, they're not always going to be 100% on top of this like I am. A great book I recommend reading, and this is a Dale Carnegie book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Every time I recommend this book, I always have to say, like, the title just sounds manipulating. It completely does, but it's one of my favorite books because it's not manipulating it at all. It's nothing to do with that. Even if you think the title, like I did when I first picked it up, maybe seems like that, but it's really about learning to get the most out of people. That even sounds manipulating. How to really, how to work the best way possible with other people, So examples would be like, some of this sounds obvious as well, but I think a lot of the time, the things that are most obvious are the simplest to apply apply to your life and stuff, and in your skill sets and this kind of thing. but we just don't really think of it. We don't really do we really take time to study how to like work best with other people? There can sometimes be clashing of personalities, clashing on issues. Especially in being a musician, you could be in a rehearsal. I've seen it many a time where there's just like, a problem that might be going on, or like you can just feel some tension brewing over just, the smallest thing about a particular arrangement, or you've made a mistake, or you're not playing that part right, or something like that. And it can just escalate because it comes down to criticism, and if someone is criticizing someone else, especially in front of other people, then man, that's just like a recipe for disaster. Like that person's going to hold something against you because they feel embarrassed, they feel belittled by you. That's what, like, there's so many things, and that's why I really recommend this book to read it. As I said, a lot of the information in it is probably things you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, it's nothing mind blowing, but it's just something to think about, For example, one of the quotes, I can't remember where it is in the book. I've highlighted so many things in this thing, but one of the things is, as a quote, I'm going to mess it up completely, but it says really, someone cares more about their toothache than they do care about a famine in China, or something like that. It goes to that point. What it means is, it doesn't matter what massive, like, real life things going on somewhere else, like another part of the world, someone is always going to care more about what's real to them in their real life right now, and it could be very, a small thing in their life that's not really as devastating as that, but they're going to care more about that because it's what they know, it's what they feel, So, yeah, I recommend reading that book. That's another thing I'm actually going to start doing as well. I'm going to start doing reviewing some books, especially for musicians. I think it's important to educate ourselves, not only in music, but just business, marketing, and things like this, like dealing with people, and because as a musician, like, it's, entertainment, music, that entertainment industry, like, it's really a lot to do with coming in contact with people, being social and networking and things like that. So you really got to know how to, be able to deal with people, get out your comfort zone. If it's something like when I first started, when I was at uni, when I was in my early 20s, like I felt like I was a bit introverted, So it's some of those things you have to develop in yourself to really go out your comfort zone and build some skill sets that are going to help you develop your career, start making some money, like, you can't do this on your own, sort of thing, But anyway, getting back to, like, dealing with people, there's a situation that I'll refer back to, and some things I've just learned. I mean, this isn't all the things thinking off the top of my head, but yeah, when I do a review, I'll do a review of this book, and it'll be in way more detail. But a scenario that came up, for instance, it's currently January right now, 2020. Last year, December, we had all the Christmas gigs, Christmas parties and stuff, which was absolutely great. And it was with a particular hotel company, and we had quite a few listed with them. And just one scenario, what happened was our guitarist at the time, I mean, he is currently still studying his master's. And I think he had a lot of pressure on. He's a really busy musician as well. And what had happened was he arrived at this particular gig, one of these gigs, like very last minute. Didn't have any time to do a sound check or anything. We had set up all the gear and that and made the best of the situation. And then his pedal board, which he had spent a lot of money on, it was just like there's electronic buzzes and noises and stuff. It wasn't really working properly, and he was getting really frustrated. And we had to start. We were already like running a little bit late, so we had to start. And he obviously didn't start on time because like this, technical issue was happening, and that happens to all of us, right? Like there's unforeseen things that will happen on stage, live, and that we can't foresee, and you just got to make the best of the situation at the time. But what had happened was that whole thing affected his performance, and I could see, I'm the band leader on stage. I'm always like keeping a visual eye out, performing as well, like calling the shots on stage and stuff. And what happened was like this whole thing, and it's happened to me, and I've seen it happen to a lot of musicians. On stage, you just feel the emotion, like, of it all just builds on top of you, and that's added by the external things outside of the gig that you're playing at the current time. So for him, it was like, all the pressure from the masters course he's doing, and life stuff, and then you bring it to the stage and you can't help, when something like that happens, it makes it worse. And basically his performance was just like, the energy comes away from that person, and the rest of the band can feel it. If you've ever been on a gig with someone who's been miserable, then you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's just, you can feel the energy of the other person. Like, you really feel that person's not in a good place, and it just kind of spreads to the other band members and stuff. So yeah, that kind of was the situation, and the gig wasn't very fun, and other people, like, it kind of like domino effect onto other people in the band and stuff, and what the best thing I learned from that situation was, I walked away from that like not in the best mood, because as I say, the emotions spread, right? But the very next day, like, the best thing to do in those situations is, I've learned now in hindsight, but everything's a lesson. Everything in life is a lesson. The best thing to do in those situations is either one, which is what I did, walk away from it and don't say anything, okay? And then the next day, this is what I did. I walked away from it, didn't say anything, didn't make an argument of it, walked away, because I wouldn't have been in the best mindset to deal with it. The next day I slept, I woke up, I had rested, and I phoned him, and I asked him, I was like, man, call me when you got, like, when you're free. I'm free all day, so give me a call. He called me, we spoke, and I said, look, I just want to chat about last night, man, because like, you obviously weren't feeling well on the gig, so I just want to make sure everything with you is all right. And we had a massive, like, really, really good long chat, and he was just telling me and letting me know the perspective that he was coming from, where he was like, man, the pressure, I've just done 7 gigs this week, super, super busy, and plus with all of that stuff, and then I come to the gig, and I thought I was going to be late, and especially when you're rushing somewhere, you feel like anxious, and you want to get there on time, and hopefully nothing's going to slow you down even when you're already late. So with all that pressure built up, and then the pedal board, the technical issue, it just really brought him down. See, I could really understand where he was coming from at that point. So for me, I was like, okay, we had a discussion about it, ironed it all out, and we're all good. And then we had a gig, I think the next weekend or something like that, or the very few days after that, and the gig was the best one we had done, because I got in the perspective, his perspective, and that's one of the biggest things this book teaches, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's one of the biggest things it says to take away from this book. If you take one thing away from it, it's try to take your mind and put it into the other person's perspective. See it from their view. Because when you can do that, you can really understand. The other thing I was going to say as well from this situation, if I hadn't done what I did do, which was, not the best way to do it, but it was the better way to do it, rather than confronting him and just arguing and criticizing him and being like, man, like, what the fuck's up with your performance? Like, you're bringing everyone else down, blah, 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 blah. Instead of going at it like that and being pissed off and letting my emotions take over, the other best thing, and probably a better thing to do than what I did do, would have been like, take him aside and have that conversation on the night. Now that could have been another option as well, and I would have got the perspective there. But that's what I'm trying to say, is the best thing to do is get the perspective, or try and talk to the other person, man. That's the best thing I can suggest is open communication between the other people you work with. When it's to do with criticizing, this is another example I've seen within a band situation, and probably this all applies to every kind of human communication there is. Doesn't matter what the workplace is. But I'm just going from the perspective of a musician situation. So we're in a rehearsal room. The drummer I'm working with. If you understand anything about willpower is like a battery. Okay, every day you wake up with a battery full of willpower because you've had the rest and stuff. Throughout the day, your willpower gets depleted. That battery goes down. Okay, and you get short, your temper gets shorter the later it gets in the day, unless you've like done things to try and, charge that battery back up again, like eat correct food or have a nap or something like that. I don't know. But like everything gets, you notice that sometimes people's tempers can get a little bit shorter by the end of the day because they're getting tired, they flagged, they've made so many decisions throughout the day. They're not at their best. Okay. So we're at this rehearsal. This is the evening rehearsal. Now for me, my annoyance was because I'm paying for these rehearsals, right? And everyone was just not in a good place for some reason. There's probably things we could have done to start the rehearsal on a better foot, or stop and like have a break and like discuss, and like I'm saying from the first example, discuss some things and have an open communication. Is there any problems on anyone's mind? What's going on? Cool. All right, let's be there for each other and like get the most out of this situation. But we didn't do that. So the drummer can get a little bit short-tempered sometimes, and it's all musicians, all different out there, how they act around people and what their temperament is. But so our drummer, a bit short-tempered. Our guitarist, his first language is not English, and all of ours is. So sometimes the communication between us and him can be a little bit difficult at times. He has to understand what we're saying so we can do what we're trying to do. And again, the short-temperedness, the tiredness, the late rehearsal, all has an impact, So what I'm trying to say is, shut the fuck up. What I'm trying to say is, you really have to try and foresee. You can't always foresee these kind of problems, but learn from them. That's the most important thing. And that's what I try to do, is those situations where the drummer's short-tempered with the guitarist, blah, blah, blah. Like, he criticized him. That's what happened. He criticized him. And in that instance, he's in front of other peers, other musicians. We're in a band. We're playing together. We've chosen to be in a band together because we respect each other. We respect each other's playing, musicianship, personalities as well. When we're on a good day, which is most of the time, we're all good friends and things like that. So that's an important thing to remember as well. When you're in your bad place, you're not yourself. It's like the Snickers advert, when you're hungry, you're not yourself when you're hungry. It's the same with being angry. Be tired, some kind of emotion has a bit more control over you. You're not yourself 100%. Anyway, this criticism happens. It's in front of us. Now he's taking that to heart because he's getting put down in front of other peers, So now he has something against him. So now there's another emotion in him, which is like anger and frustration. And then the person that's done the criticism, he's feeling frustrated. He's let his frustration out, trying to feel better. But now maybe he feels a little bit bad, or like he's just, nothing's changed, still frustrated. He still wants to get out of here quick because he's tired, because something else is going on in his life. So yeah, what I'm trying to say from this video is the most important thing we can do in our interactions with other musicians is understand what the other person's perspective is. The priorities are probably not always going to be the same as yours. You need to do everything you can to make the best of the situation. Best thing you can do in those situations where things are starting to get heated, or there's some problems that you may be like, okay, we might have a problem if this keeps happening like in the next few minutes. Take someone to one side. That guitarist, the drummer could have just taken him to one side, but let's just have a break for 5 minutes. Can I just speak to you a sec? Are you okay? Like, are you just tired? Like, tell me if anything's wrong, because we need to get this rehearsal done for this reason. Have a conversation, blah, 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 and sort it out. One of the best things that I've read and I've learned and really does apply to life forever is, I can't remember the quote exactly. I'm probably going to mess it up again, but it's, you need to cross a river at its earliest source rather than letting it get further down the line and it being, a bit of a tidal wave and a bit of an ocean, like basically what that quote was kind of meaning was, as soon as you find a problem, as soon as you see something that's like potential to be a bigger problem later down the line, address it straight away. And I've seen that stuff happen a million times. Again, from running my own band, my own business, you're dealing with people, again, their priorities aren't always in line with yours because, they got their own things they're trying to work on and develop, but they're still a part of yours. So if something happens, you've got to cross that bridge. Just take them to one side and be like, look, this is happening. I just want to address this right now. Is everything okay with you? Be sympathetic, be understanding of the other person, because you never know what's going on in that person's life. But you got to correct what you're trying to do as well. So you're always steering the ship, of your business, of yourself. Whether you're working in a band and you're not the business owner, or you're not running it, you need to be there. Like, these are skills that you need to be developing and implementing in your life all the time. But we want to get better at this. We're musicians. There's a lot of things that people are teaching out there. Obviously, the practical elements of music, your instrument and theory and that sort of stuff. But there's a lot more to it as well. There's marketing, there's business. And like this episode I'm discussing right now, is dealing with people as well. Networking, like, you really got to understand how to deal with people in the best way you can to get the best out of them. I mean, like I said, the title of this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, sounds manipulating, but it's not what it teaches, and it's not what you need to do. You don't want to be manipulating people. You want to get the best out of them, and so you need to know how to deal with them. Situations in life are always going to pop up where it's going to be difficult. Not everyone's going to be feeling 100%, so you need to have the skills to be able to pull them out and be like, okay, this is how I deal with this situation. I learned this, I learned that from previous times or from videos. The Penthouse5 Podcast, where we're teaching musicians how to deal with stuff and earn money and that in music. And then you start implementing it. Everything is practice. Everything in life is practice. All right. There's not ever a time where you're called to the point where it's now and then it's done. If you understand what I'm saying, everything is practice. Every scenario you come up, every rehearsal, every gig, every big performance, that's just practice. That's more practice. Getting those hours in, those reps to become better person, better musician, better in every aspect that you want to improve in. We should all be striving to be better at the end of the day. But anyway, I'm going to leave this episode at that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, on the Penthouse5 Podcast YouTube channel. If you're listening on the audio, it's the Penthouse5 Band. Make sure you check us out. Also, really want to try and build a community of musicians here, because that's the ultimate goal of this podcast, is really to build up some value in some videos and some audio content and give it to you guys. Like this is stuff that I've learned, that the musicians I work with have learned, people I want to interview and speak to on a regular basis. They've learned that, this is all stuff, whether you're new or old, it's all valuable information that we need to learn and take away and implement in our life. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. So I'm going to peace out from here. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment, because we want to hear from you. That's the most important thing. I want to hear some comments, man. Answer some questions. Get some videos on stuff that that some people are asking for. So, anyway, hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy. Peace out.